Alright? So, a lot of scholars rejected the Ihya for that reason. What happens is that as time went on, people said, well, let's look at the Ihya and let's document all the hadith. Right? And the famous one is Zayn ad-Din al-Iraqi, the teacher of Imam al-Nawawi, right? In Al-Mughni and Haml al-Isfar, he documented all of the hadith. Sorry, not the student, the teacher of Ibn Hajar, al-Asqalani. He documented most of the hadiths. He gave their chains of transmission. He gave rulings on them. His student, who is Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, completed that work. Okay, and he did all the other hadith. Tajuddin as-Subki, in his biography of al-Ghazali is about 50 pages long. Of those 50 pages, 30 of them are documentations of problematic, inverted commas, problematic hadiths in the Ihya. Okay, Imam as-Suyuti later on came and took those problematic hadith that Tajuddin Subki said, I can find strong sanads for all of the hadith in the Ihya except for these, and there are about 100 of them. I can't find decent asanid for these hadith. Suyuti came along and found asanid for those hadith. Right? He said, all except for about 4 or 5. I couldn't find a sanad for. Okay? And then the great Hanafi, Al-Qasim ibn Qutl-Bugha, he spelled that wrong, Qutl-Bugha al-Hanafi, in his work on hadith, he was a great hadith scholar, a student of Ibn al-Humam, for those Hanafi students among you, student of Ibn al-Humam, and one of the transmitters of the Fath al-Qadir of Ibn al-Humam. And then the greatest commentary of the Ihya, which was the Sayyid Murtaza al-Zabidi al-Husayni al-Gujurati, because he was a Guji, right? He was Gujarati, and he's moved to Yemen, and he lived and he died in Yemen. The Ithaf as-Sa'ada, again that's spelt wrong, Ithaf as-Sa'ada al-Muttaqeen fi Shar' Asrar Ihya Ulum ad-Din, in 10 massive volumes. Okay, and each scholar completed the documentation of the previous scholar. So the hadiths are well documented. Okay? Now, a note on Ghazali's use of hadith. As a general principle, what you will find is where you find the hadith often is in the fada'il of a particular thing. So, Kitab al-Ilm begins with fada'il al-Ilm, the blessings of knowledge, the blessings of seeking knowledge, the blessings of teaching, and so forth. And there are lots of hadiths in there. Okay? Almost invariably, the first 1, 2, 3 hadith that are mentioned are sahih. The first few hadith, whenever he mentions a series of hadith one after the other, you will find that the first couple are Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmidhi, Abu Dawud, that type of thing. Okay? Whatever comes after will be weaker and found in less less canonical works of hadith. But by that point, you actually don't really even need those. Those hadith are nurun ala nur. They are just there to give shahid or shahada to the hadith that came before them, to add a bit of detail, to bolster up the hadith that came before. Okay, and that's why a lot of the critique of the Ihya fell away, because a lot of the hadiths are weak. Let's take them all out. What have you lost? Very little. Very little. Okay? And that's the point. And you do find that even hadith scholars, did Bukhari use weak hadith? Did Bukhari admit to the usage of weak hadith? Absolutely he did. Right? He wrote, what's the work? Al-Adab al-Mufrad. Al-Adab al-Mufrad is a work of adab. It's a work of good manners, good character. Okay? It begins, I think, with birrul walidain, treating your parents well, and it goes through all these different things. And it's, to use Al-Maziri's, to incorporate Al-Maziri's work, it's crammed full of weak hadith. Why? Because you can use weak hadith provided you are not establishing a legal rule. Alright? If you want to establish the fact that, collective dhikr is permissible, then you need a proof that is legally countenanced. Quranic verse with a decent understanding, a hadith that is sahih or hasan, right? So a hadith that has a decent isnad. Okay? Once you've established it, then to show that it's a blessed thing to do, you can use a weak hadith. You can use weak hadith then to show that it's... Because, a weak hadith is not a hadith... You're not saying the Prophet ﷺ never said this. You're saying, I'm not sure if the Prophet ﷺ said this. However, I am sure that he said this. Okay? And you'll see as we go through. I'll show you some examples of that, inshallah. Yeah? Okay. In terms of commentaries on the Ihya, the greatest commentary, and the only one you need, he says, who doesn't have it, is the work of Murtaza az-Zabidi. His 10-volume... It's coming. Someone actually bought it for me, but then has decided to keep it in their house. And I haven't been able to get down there and get it from him yet. He sort of said, come and have a go if you think you're hard enough type thing. It's like, come on then, you can come, by all means feel free to come pick it up. So I have to go and get it. But anyway, إتحاف السعادة المتقين على شرح أسرار إحياء علوم الدين. Okay? And that documents a hadith very well, but it also explains some of the words Ghazali uses, some very interesting, very useful things in the Ihya, very useful things in that work. You have the work of Abdul Qadir ibn Abdul al-Aidarus, which is, to be honest, not really a commentary. This work is more of a work of praise. It defends the Ihya against the detractors of the Ihya. It's written around the same time as Zabidi wrote. You got Mullah Ali Qari, who wrote a commentary on an abridgment of the Ihya, and he says, I wrote this commentary on the abridgment of the Ihya by the proof of Islam and the confirmation of creation, Ghazali, hoping to receive some of the outpouring of blessings from the words of the most pure knowers of Allah, and to benefit from the gifts that exude from the pages of the Shaykhs and the saints, so that I may be mentioned in their number and raised in their gathering, even if I fell short in their following and their service. For I rely on my love of them and content myself with my longing for them. And I think we can all say Ameen to that. We can all say Ameen to that. Alright. As mentioned, there were some critiques of the Ihya. Largely, this is an interesting story actually, that the Ihya was burned in Al-Andalus on the recommendation of the Qadi Ibn Hamdain, who was named commander of the believers in Qurtuba in 539, then fled to Malaga, where he died. Shortly thereafter, the Moroccans rehabilitated the work as stated by Shaykh al-Islam Taqiyuddin as-Subki. And in a long poem, which he begins, Abu Hamid, you are the one who is truly Abu Hamid, one who deserves praise. And Subki narrates with a chain of transmission from Abu Hassan al-Shadhili that one of the Moroccan sheikhs who had intended the burning of the Ihya saw the Prophet ﷺ in a dream. And the dream was that this is narrated by Abu Hassan al-Shadhili, who is also the person who, I'll explain to you. But he is also so he narrates that this sheikh who had commanded that the Ihya be burnt, okay, because it was for whatever, either it contained weak hadith or it was full of heresy. Alright, he had a dream and he saw himself with the Prophet ﷺ, and he saw that the Prophet ﷺ was commending Ghazali, commending the Ihya, and that Ghazali had complained to the Prophet ﷺ about this person, Ya Rasulullah, this person is slandering me. He's slandering me. He said, I've committed heresy and so on and so forth. And the Prophet ﷺ praised the Ihya and ordered that Ibn Hirzam, I'm not sure that's his name, I'm sure I remember a different name, but Harazim, yeah, that he be lashed for slander. When he woke up, he felt the pain of the lashes, and he saw the traces of the lashing on his back. Then he made tawbah and he took praising the book from Kafir. It's a very famous story.